BBC Coventry and Warwickshire. It's Brody here. Thank you for listening. We've just confused Phil Upton, who's on the way from 3 o'clock today, because I've got Zoe Wren in the studio. I shall introduce her formally to you in just a second, but she was just doing a sound check opposite me in the studio, and Phil's just walked into his studio, and he would have walked into silence, so he pressed the button so he could hear what was going out, and he heard ABBA. So he was thinking, crikey, that girl doesn't mean ABBA. She does a fantastic ABBA. Now, every week, I like to bring you some live music, and this week we've got folk-influenced singer-songwriter Zoe Wren live in the studio. Zoe had an early introduction to performing, as she was the youngest performer to play the main stage at Folkstock Festival when she was just 16, which is pretty good going. And she recently graduated from a degree in music, and she joins me in the studio now. Zoe, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Brody. Yourself?
Good, I'm really good. Do you do any ABBA, by the way?
Not yet, but it's a good idea. Might look into that.
Hey, maybe put that on the agenda later. Now, look, we're going to talk about your career in a few minutes and hear some of your beautiful music, which I've just had the fortune to hear already whilst you were sound checking. But how did you get into music in the first place? So you're 21 now. We just mentioned what you were doing when you were 16. How did you get into this?
Well, really, I started off doing a few open mics here and there, and I did one at the Cambridge Folk Festival when I was about 14, 15 maybe, and off the back of that I kind of got booked for some gigs accidentally, and I hadn't written any of my own songs then, and I said yes because I was excited, and I thought, oh God, I better write some songs now. So I did, and it just sort of started from there.
And what did you enjoy listening to as well? So when you were growing up, who would you listen to on your radio or on your CD player, MP3?
I had quite a sort of, I guess you could say, old-fashioned music taste because I listened to a lot of my parents' music growing up. So my kind of musical heroes are like Joni Mitchell, Joan Baez, kind of people like that. A lot of the sort of 60s, 70s singer-songwriters, which kind of makes sense, I guess, because they've definitely influenced me a lot. And
remind us what you were doing, because I've just touched on it as well. You deserve a pat on the back for this as well. Studied at Cambridge University. What were you doing there?
That was a very classical music course. There's a lot of sort of theory, history, quite different to what I do now. I did manage to get some folk into it, though. I wrote my final dissertation on folk music, which was fun. Yeah.
So it's going really well for you, and also you've been played on Radio 2 as well. So you've obviously been played on radio stations all over the land. What's it like to get your music played on radio? Because I think for anybody who's a singer-songwriter, you put the songs together, you work hard, and to get that kind of recognition, what's that like for you?
Oh, it's just fantastic. It was really funny about Radio 2 actually, because it was played at something like 4 or 5 in the morning, and of course I was fast asleep, and I woke up to all these tweets, and I was like, oh damn it, should have woken up earlier, should have been up at 4 a.m.
But that's why they call him Whispering Bob Harris. There's a reason for that. That's because most people are asleep when he's on. Only joking. Bob is a legend, somebody who I would aspire to be. And how would you describe your music then? So let's talk about that, because we're going to hear it in a second, so we can make up our own mind. But how would you personally describe it?
I'm very influenced by kind of traditional folk and also kind of more contemporary folk, but it's got a bit of a kind of a pop twist to it, I guess. I like to keep it sort of contemporary so that I guess try to appeal to both sort of sides of the spectrum, because I really like both. And there's a lot of sort of storytelling. Most of my songs are based on stories of some kind, whether they're sort of traditional stories or other people's stories. I don't write about myself that much, interestingly, but I love to tell stories, basically.
And so that's what your songwriting's all about.
Yeah.
So where would you get these stories from? Is it something you've heard in the news, or where do these ideas come from?
A mixture of real life and my imagination, mainly. So one is about, a busker I met, a blind busker who was trying to raise money to go to Morocco, which I thought would make a good song. My new EP, which I've just finished recording, actually, which will be out with Folkstock Records. All of the songs on there are based on traditional folk stories, but I've sort of updated them a bit and kind of done some new versions of them. So one of which I'm going to play to you today, actually.
Oh, I look forward to that. Now, we'll get a live song from you in just a moment. But folk music, because I play folk music on BBC Introducing. I've been to the Warwick Folk Festival on numerous occasions now. It's generally associated with older people. So what do you think yourself and people around your age can bring to the party?
Well, I think at folk clubs, when the audience tends to be older, I think they're always really pleased when young people come in and want to engage with this music and want to play traditional music and also do their own takes on it. I think it keeps it going, like someone's got to.
No, you're right. So, it keeps it alive, and you're going to bring a new flavour to it, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And, we obviously you've got the kind of traditional stuff, and then there's all these kind of new influences, and we kind of, I guess weave it all in and create something new and hopefully exciting.
Well, listen, let's have a listen to what you've got for us. So you're performing tonight at Wurzelbush Folk Club. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But what's the first song? What you got for us?
So the first song I'm going to play you is the single from my EP. It's called She's a Highwayman. and it's based on a traditional folk song, which is called The Female Highwayman. And it's quite a kind of sassy song about this woman who she's not sure about her boyfriend, if he's, that true, that faithful. So she dresses up as a highwayman and she goes and tests him by trying to rob him and trying to take... And he gives her all of his things, and then she goes for this ring that's a kind of special thing between them, and he actually hangs on to that. So she's like, all right, he's all right then.
Oh, that's a great idea. But
in this version, she kind of goes a step further, and she sort of has this realisation that actually being free and doing her own thing and dressing up and riding out on a horse is kind of better. So she sticks with it.
Hey, what a great idea for a song. See what you mean about your imagination and your storytelling. Right, Zoe Wren in our radio studio this afternoon here at BBC Coventry in Warwickshire.
She rode and she rode, dressed in highwayman's clothes, and she found life was better that way. She felt so damn free, she just couldn't believe there was no one to heed or obey. But when she came home, well, she still felt alone, and she wished she was back on the road. But she couldn't wait for the next time that she could go. Next morning he saw all his things in a drawer, and he blushed like a child. He was shocked that a lady could be quite so shady, it dented his pride. He held tightly on to her hand, and he begged her to stay. But she found she preferred dressing up in a shirt, so she left anyway. She rode and she rode, dressed in highwayman's clothes, and she found life was better that way. She felt so damn free, she just couldn't believe there was no one to heed or obey. She didn't come home, she continued to roam, and she lived her life without a plan. But she doesn't care because she's a highwayman.
So, Wren, that was brilliant. I love the story of that. And it made it even better the fact that you told me what that was about as well. That was really easy to understand. That was lovely. That's great. Now, we've got a second song from you in just a moment here at BBC Coventry in Warwickshire. So you're performing tonight. That's the reason we've got you on today, and, of course, to hear your wonderful music. But you're performing tonight at Worslebush Folk Club in Brinklow. So what can we expect from you?
Well, you can expect a bit more of that. I'm going to be playing quite a few songs from my new EP, as well as some older ones from my old EP, which I've just got a new batch printed off since they all sold out recently. I think it'll be quite I'm supporting the Down County Boys, who are sort of bluegrassy band. I think they're going to be quite up-tempo and fun, so I'm going to try and match that energy, I think.
Yes, you do.
Give
that.
it a
go. And also when it comes to performing live, is that the best part of this for you, or is it sitting in the studio recording the songs? What's the best bit for you?
I kind of love all parts of it. I think, live performance has got to be the best bit, because it's, it's fun, it's spontaneous, different things always happen, and it's just always that energy is really great fun, I think. But, I love the recording part of it as well, because you get that chance to do multiple takes and really get the best version of the song, and I really like that. So for my EP, I got a grant from the PRS Lindsay DePaul Prize, which is really fantastic, which it's this sort of fund for emerging female singer-songwriters. So that sort of funded my EP, and it's kind of really allowed me to spend a lot of time on it and really kind of get the sound I wanted out of it, which is so invaluable. No,
it is invaluable, absolutely. And have you played around here before, by the way?
I haven't. This is my first time up in Coventry.
Oh, they will look after you, Coventry and Warwickshire folk. They're very, very lovely. And anything special for Halloween tonight, by the way? You're going to be dressing up as a ghost or anything?
I actually did all my Halloween celebrations on the weekend. We had a big party at my flat. Spent the next day clearing up. Yes. But tonight, I'm just going to... I kind of forgot it was Halloween, to be honest.
And have you got any superstitions, by the way? Anything that you do before performing live?
Not really, actually.
That's good.
I just get on with it.
Yeah, just get on with it. You don't want to believe in all that malarkey, do you? Now, we're heading towards the travel news now. We'll get you a check on the roads with Louisa Gale in a moment, but let's get our second song from Zoe this afternoon. What have you got for us?
So this one is another new one from the new EP. It's called Golden Smoke, and it's based on another traditional story. In this one, the main character has been kind of rejected by their lover, and as you do, has turned to gambling.
Well, as you do, yes. If you get dumped, what are you going to do? You're going to go to the casino, aren't you? Zoe Wren, more live music in our radio studio here this afternoon here at BBC Coventry in Warwickshire.
He's from one kind of background, I another sort. I thought love overcame such things, his family thought not. Gold and smoke is my romance tonight. I'll lie in the arms of victory's mine. If you're underground, you will see I rule all around. This new life I found is all I need. Gold and smoke is my romance tonight. I'll lie in the arms of victory's might. I have coins in my pocket, good sense in my head. If you think that I need much else, your poor soul's been misled.
That was brilliant. Zoe, thank you for joining us on BBC Coventry
thank you so
Warwickshire.
much.
No, thank you. And best of luck with the gig tonight at Wurzelbush Folk Club. What time are you on?
We're starting at 8:30. It's free entry, so yeah, if you're around, do come along.
Go and knock 'em dead, kid.
BBC Coventry and Warwickshire Travel.
Right, then that was brilliant. Right, let's get you the latest travel news now. Here's Louisa Gale.
Thanks, Brody.
Perfect, that was.
That was lovely. Thank you.
That was really, really good.
Thank you.
Really good.
Good fun.
And Eddie made that sound. You can't hear that, remember? Eddie made that sound just beautiful.
Thank you very much, Eddie.